Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Miriam Manzo. For those of you who follow me, you know that my channel is all about bringing luxury into your life, both into your home as well as in how you dress. And for those of you who follow me, you also know that I love to mix high and low. But really, what's the secret to successfully mixing high and low? It's understanding materials and the costs. And so today in our Design 101, we're talking all things flooring. Not just the materials, but let's talk about the cost of labor for different ways to utilize these materials so that you can make the best decisions and bring luxury into your life. So when discussing flooring, there are three main categories. We have wood floors, tile, and carpeting. And within each of those categories, we have choices to make of materials in that category. And then I want to talk to you about the costs of laying them and how they affect your choices. So let's start with wood. So within that wood category, we have hardwood, we have engineered wood, we have vinyl planks, and we have laminate. So I'm going to start actually with engineered because a lot of people think engineered wood flooring is not real, when in fact it's very real. So when we look at our hardwood, it is a solid piece of wood flooring. That's what we see here in my home on this level. So it's a all wood product. Now the advantages of that are the warmth that it brings into the room, the fact that you can sand it down several times over its lifetime, the longevity of its lifetime, and it's very desirable. When it comes to resale, wood is going to help sell your house. Now, the disadvantages of a wood flooring is that they dent and scratch easily. Now, I'm going to stop there because this is where you have to understand the different wood species available. There are some woods that are going to give you far more hardness and durability than other woods. And reclaimed flooring is going to actually give you the most durability. So what is reclaimed wood? It's a wood that they're logs that were actually found in the bottom of, for example, the St. Lawrence River. And they have been there for decades, if not hundreds of years. And these logs are now brought up. They are kiln dried and then they are cut into planks. So what makes these so durable? If these pieces of wood can survive being down underwater for over 100 years, there really isn't much you can do in your house that's going to destroy them. They already have character, they already have dents and flaws. It all adds to the natural character of that wood. So let's go back now to engineered. So engineered floors are a thin layer of wood on top of a substrate base. What this does is it gives you the look and warmth of a wood floor, but on a much more stable base. Now, why is that important? If, like me, you live in a climate where we have 4 seasons and we have humidity in our house, you'll notice that when you buy wood floors, in the winter, when there's not as much humidity available, your wood starts to separate between the planks and you get these gaps. With an engineered floor, because it is now on a more stable base, you eliminate those gaps. So let's go back to the disadvantages of wood. They easily scratch and dent, again with the exception of a reclaimed wood. They are expensive. They're expensive to install. And with an engineer, the additional disadvantage would be that you don't get to sand it down as many times as you would with a solid wood plank. Now, here's what I say to my clients. The reality of ever sanding your wood floors down is pretty minimal, and I'm going to tell you why. Over the years, different species are popular. So in the, I think it was 80s or 90s, maple was all the rage. Now we're heavily into rift cut oak or oak. 10 years ago, walnut was the be all to end all. So fashions in home decor and in materials, just like in clothing, changes. So for those of you who inherited a maple floor and who want a oak floor, doesn't matter if you sand it down, you're not going to get the floor of your dreams. And when you look at the cost involved of sanding and restaining, very often you may as well switch out that wood floor. Now, is it environmentally friendly to do it that way? Obviously not, but a lot of people are going to make that decision on whether to sand their floors down based on cost, because when you have budgets, and everybody does, you don't want to be you want to spend it wisely. And I always say to my clients, if you're going to be happy with a maple floor, then sand it down. But if what you want is oak, it doesn't really matter what you do, you're not going to get, again, that floor of your dreams. So you need to take that into consideration. So what are some of the things that affect the price of that wood floor? So when talking about wood or engineered, it's going to be the plank size, it's going to be the thickness of that wood itself, and then it's going to be the species. That's in terms of buying it. Now we also get into the added cost of how you're going to lay it. So as you can see here in my formal living room, this is what we call a herringbone lay. So more expensive, obviously, than laying it down in a straight run. The other very popular, especially if you want a French look for your house, is a chevron. Now I'm going to show you a picture here of what the two look like, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between herringbone and chevron. The other way to lay it, another very popular wood flooring, is parquet. Now, parquet flooring actually has a bad rap, as it's seen in a lot of builder houses, and it's done quite cheaply and done in a color that's not exactly aesthetically pleasing to look at. But the parquet flooring is actually a very old style flooring, and it's actually, you can see it here in the room of mirrors in the Versailles Palace. And what I like to do is, when I'm laying down tiles, I try to think outside the box. So while parquet is normally a pattern used for wood floorings, I'm going to show you here what I did in my wine cellar, where I took that parquet Versailles pattern and I reinterpreted and laid it in a tile rather than a wood. So again, these are things that are, yes, going to push the cost of your labor up. The most labor intense lay would be that Versailles, whereas the simplest would be a straight run. So you need to factor that in. Sometimes you're better off buying a less expensive plank, and if you really want to lux things up, have them lay it in a herringbone pattern. And this will give you the look on how to save a little bit and still get that luxury look. Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to talk about an online learning community that I'm a part of called Skillshare. Now, I bring this up now because we're talking about flooring and there is so much information to learn. And design, like any other creative endeavor, really there's always something to learn. There's always new information coming out, new products. And what I love about Skillshare is there are thousands of courses that are available to you in over 150 countries in many different languages. And this gives you the opportunity to learn not only the subject that you're interested in, but really you have unlimited access to these courses, and new ones are available every week. So you can now start building an interest in other courses that perhaps you didn't even really know would help you in your career right now. So for example, how we're using it, not only am I watching other designers and really learning from their techniques and tricks, but I'm also learning so much about providing information on my YouTube channel, how to grow my Instagram. So I'm using it in other areas of my business, not just the one that I initially thought would be of interest to me. And so for the first 1,000 people to click the link in our bio, you will get 1 month free of this incredible learning platform. I encourage you, as I've done with all of my friends, to really take advantage of this 1 month. You know, not everybody has the time to go back to school or the budget to go back to school. This is an economical and extremely efficient way to go back, teach yourself new skills, or hone your new ones. Again, there's always something to learn, and for me, Skillshare has been a platform that I am thoroughly enjoying, and I hope that you try it out too. Again, the first 1,000 people to click the link will get 1 month free. Please take advantage. Let's get back to laminate versus vinyl wood flooring. Next up is vinyl plank flooring. So vinyl has come such a long way in the last 10 years or so. It used to struggle to replicate wood. Now it's such a great likeness for wood. So advantages, obviously, is that it's easy to install. Now, one of the things I like about vinyl is you can actually install it right over, if, for example, if you have tile floors and you don't want to go through the mess and expense of taking them up, you can lay a vinyl plank right over top of that. So it's inexpensive to buy, it's inexpensive to lay. It is waterproof, so vinyl flooring is a great option for using in a bathroom. If you remember, in my own pizza house, we used it on the bathroom floor as well as the walls so that I could easily wipe down any dirt or bugs or things in that outdoor space. Disadvantages, obvious, it's not real wood, so it lacks the warmth of real wood and it lacks resale value. Laminate floors. This is a photograph of wood that is laminated onto different materials and topped with a plastic coating. So you get what you pay for here. The more expensive the laminate floor, the more layers and the more realistic that image is going to be. The advantages are that it is easily laid, it is inexpensive, comes in a variety of prints, it is not easily scratched, and it is easy to maintain. The disadvantage, again, it's not real wood. It is going to affect the resale value of your home, and it chips and scratches quite easily because of that lamination process. And then it does have a hollow sound, so keep that in mind when selecting. Let's go to our next category, tile. We're going to start with my favorite, natural stone. As you can see here, we've used marble laid on a herringbone. Now, this has a lot of custom cuts. Let's first talk about where to use tile. So historically, they're used in bathrooms and kitchen. As you've seen in both my projects as well as many other luxury interior designers, we are now bringing wood into those spaces as well. But in particular bathrooms, I still love tile, and in some cases in foyers like you see here. So things to know about natural stone. Honed versus polished. So polished is going to be more slippery than honed. It also gets etched more than a honed finish and has a higher shine, so it's a little bit colder both visually and to the touch. Honed, which you know is my favorite, eliminates the etching because there is now no polish to etch off, but it does make it more susceptible to stains. Now, the costs involved in that. So in our natural stone category, we have slate, we have travertine, we have marbles, we have granites, we have sandstone. The costs themselves will be in the purchasing of those stones. So the more desirable the stone, the higher the cost is going to be. The harder it is to get access to it or availability, the higher the cost is going to be. Also, when you are getting that stone, how it's cut. So with a mosaic, there's the cost of cutting the stone into small pieces and then putting them on a mesh backing for easier install. that does bring the cost up for the purchasing, but then the labor becomes less expensive. So keep in mind that when using stone or natural stones in a wet space, the more grout you have, so the smaller the pieces of tiles, the more grip you will have. So that's why you commonly see mosaics used on shower floors or on bathroom floors, is for that grip. Now, maintenance of natural stones. Everybody thinks it is extremely high, and it is more so than porcelain or ceramic, but there are some great sealers out there that as long as you seal those marble floors every 6 months, and it's as simple as putting the sealer on a rag and basically mimicking washing the floor, that's all it takes to seal them, you are going to have very little maintenance involved. Porcelain. Now, the difference between porcelain and ceramic. Porcelain, the color goes right through the entire tile. Ceramic, the color is just on the surface. So what happens when you drop a knife and you chip ceramic is you're going to see the gray or beige undertone of that color, whereas if you drop a knife on that porcelain, you're going to see that same color run through the whole tile. So that does make porcelain more expensive, but it gives you better durability. Porcelain can also be used outside, ceramic cannot. Ceramic is your least expensive option for tile. Porcelain is going to come in next, and then obviously your natural stones. I feel that for the longevity of your home, natural stones are always your best investment. But again, they do have more maintenance than the ceramic. Both have levels within laying them that are going to affect the cost. So for example, if we take a 12 by 24 tile, doesn't matter if it is ceramic, porcelain, or marble, your simplest, least expensive way to lay it is stacked, one tile on top of each other. Then you have options. You have a brick lay where you take your row of tiles and you shift 50% your next row above that. Asher is you're shifting it only 33% as opposed to 50. You have double stacked. You have a whole bunch, I'll show you a picture here of different ways to lay it. They're going to affect the cost of the install of those tiles. Now, there's also a rectified edge versus a normal edge. A rectified edge is where the manufacturer makes sure that that edge is completely straight and level. So why do you want a rectified edge rather than a normal edge? You are going to get a smaller grout line with that rectified edge. So it's a cleaner look, more contemporary. You can get away with 1/8 of a grout line versus the normal 1/4 inch that you're going to see with a non-rectified edge. You also have to let your installer know that you're looking for a 1/8 grout line, as it is more difficult for the installer to do, and he's not going to want to do it unless you specify. These are all things that are going to increase the cost of laying those tiles. Maintenance, we talked about. Ceramic is going to be the least expensive. However, every chip and dent is going to show, whereas in porcelain or marble, they're going to somewhat blend into the tile because you've got that color coming right through. Our final category is carpeting. So where to use it? I recommend to all of my luxury clients to put a runner on the stairs, as you see behind me. The other most common room for me to use broadloom or wall-to-wall carpeting is a bedroom. Keep in mind that the cost of carpeting is relatively low, again, depending on the materials chosen. But the disadvantages of carpeting is that it doesn't have a long shelf life. It shows wear and tear and stains pretty quickly. So now when you factor in the cost of relaying carpeting over and over again over the lifetime of your home, this is where it gets a little bit more expensive, and you might want to think of one of our other two options. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring that bell icon to be notified of our future videos. Leave a comment, let us know your thoughts, or if you have any questions. I'm Miriam Manzo. Thanks for watching.